Headaches, brain fog, neck pain, stomach problems, heart palpitations. What's going on? Well, that's anxiety. Today I'm going to teach you the 20 most common kinds of symptoms that you see in anxiety and go down through and explain to you why they happen. Now, if you want to actually solve these things, go ahead and like and subscribe and go down through my playlist and you can find the solutions there. Let's jump right in. The first and most common complaint with anxiety is a lack of concentration and what you would commonly call brain fog, aka head and butt disease. At least that's what I call it, because it feels like your head is literally up your butt. You can't find your butt with two hands and a map. Why? Because you're pumping too much adrenaline, and adrenaline works like speed in your system. You're dashing here and there. It's like you got ADHD and you can't seem to concentrate. The second thing that can happen is exactly the opposite. Your brain is trying to get away from you. Let me ask you a question. How do you get away from you? Correct answer, you shut your brain down. Now on a brain scan, you would see lit up areas where your thinking in your brain is active. But when you got anxiety, you'll see those lights start dimming, like lights going off in an office building. They're lowering. Less energy, less thinking activity, less nutrients and blood flow going to that area. Your brain is literally shutting down. Your anxiety is getting so bad, you want to get away from you. Number 2, somatic disorders. Somatic is a big fancy Greek word. Literally it means from the mind to the body. You are making you sick. And literally about 2/3 of the symptoms that we're going to be talking about today out of the 20 is all about your brain trying to create distraction. It's trying to distract you from the anxiety out there by concentrating on something going wrong in the body here. So when you start getting headaches, neck pain, back pain, stomach problems, things like that, that is your brain trying to focus on something that's non-anxiety causing. Not like your crappy marriage, your crappy job, your rotten kids, the political stuff going on in the environment, your lack of money, being behind on your promises, all these things that make you really anxious. It says, well, a neck pain, you really wouldn't blame yourself, but boy, I will make it so painful, you will focus on that. And that'll help to pull you out of your anxiety. Now, we all know at some point this flips, and then the stomach problems and the back pain and the neck pain and all these types of things become their own source of anxiety and got stacked on top of your existing anxiety. But it's all a somatic disorder, and it's all about distracting you from the real problem, which is anxiety. That's why close to, I think it's right around 50% of the time, people have a problem. It seems like a physical problem, and they go to the doctor, and they were right to go to a medical professional. They just went to the wrong one. It feels like the problem is from the neck down, like when you got stomach problems, right? You would think that's a physical illness. But about half the time, it's a mental illness. It's a somatic disorder, and it has to do with anxiety and depression, making it worse and trying to work as a distraction. The third anxiety symptom is feeling like there's a lump in your throat, almost like your throat is closing. It's not. It's stretching to open up so you can get more air into your lungs, but it feels very uncomfortable and it feels like tension. It feels like a lump in your throat because that's exactly what it is. But it's not pushing in, it's pulling out. Number 4, feeling dizzy or feeling faint. The challenge with that is your blood pressure goes up when you get anxious. You know, your blood pressure goes up. They say, if you keep worried, you're going to have a heart attack. They might be right because your blood pressure is going up. Strangely, that blood vessels in your ears start pumping and pumping and pumping. Sometimes you might even start hearing your heartbeat in your ears. Well, all that blood pressure starts making you dizzy because your balance is in your ears. Second thing is you start hyperventilating. It's the fight or flight, and you're trying to take in more oxygen. And if you take in too much oxygen, I used to think that was a fun thing when I was a kid. You'd hyperventilate and you get really, really dizzy, just like when you spin around. The spinning around was the inner ear, like we just talked about, and the hyperventilating also makes you dizzy, and that's exactly what you're doing in anxiety, but it's so subtle and it so slowly increases, you don't even know it. Nausea, or that feeling of butterflies in your stomach. This is caused by two things, and they're exactly the opposite. It can be that you're having the fight or flight syndrome from your anxiety, and when you actually eat a meal, did you know that 25% of your blood supply goes to your stomach and intestines for digestion? Well, when you're fighting or flighting, you need that for your arms and for your legs. So a lot of times what will happen is your body will shut down digestion, and that's very upsetting to your stomach. Now, the opposite can happen. Your body can kick into high gear and start pumping out acid, and that's when you start to feel like you got gas and you feel a little nauseous, like you might want to throw up. That's from too much stomach acid being produced, both from anxiety. And they may also be what? One of those somatic disorders where your psyche is trying to distract you from your anxiety. Hey, I hope you're loving this content. Go ahead and like and subscribe so you get notified when all our fresh content comes out. We're making new content every week, pretty much every day, to help you. Number 6, tremors and twitches. That's from your muscles contracting. Why? Because your nerves are overfiring. You're pumping out a bunch of adrenaline that turns into cortisol. Everything's ramped up. It's like you're on speed, like when you have too much sugar in your body. Sugar releases adrenaline. That's why sugar gives you energy. So this is just pure adrenaline. And you start to shake and you start to get tremors. Your body may even start tensing the muscles because it thinks it has to fight. Or it's sending additional blood flow in that area, and that creates a light pulsation. Number 7 is ringing in the ears. Oh, it's so annoying. You'll hear it come on slowly, it'll get louder, and then when it starts to go away, you'll hear it fade away. Nobody quite knows what causes this. They think it's a stimulation of the nerve endings. It could be extra blood flow to the ears. It's a good news, bad news type of thing. A lot of people have what they call tendinitis, which is just ringing of the ears. And the good news is about 50% of the time, it's just an anxiety disorder, and you can be treated for that. Tendinitis, the ringing in the ears, if it's biological and not psychological, there's no known good treatments. So hopefully, pray that it's actually an anxiety disorder. Number 8 is weakness and fatigue. Man, you've been stressed a long time and you're burning on all cylinders. You're pumping too much adrenaline. That's turning into cortisol. And you can get what's called adrenal exhaustion. You've literally pumped out all your adrenaline. You've totally worn out your system like you've been, holding a push-up for days. And your body is very, very tired. And it's going to take some time to relax, to sleep, and to recuperate. Number 9, heart palpitations. I can remember looking down at my chest one time and I could literally see it going like this. And I'm like, what the heck is that? My heart from anxiety was beating so hard, it was actually showing up through my chest. It was palpitating. And that's exactly what that is. Your heart is beating too hard. Great sign that you need to slow things down, especially if you have any kind of heart condition, right? Number 10, overactive bladder. Did you ever hear the expression, oh my God, I'm so excited I can just pee myself? That's a real thing. Nobody's quite sure why it happens, but they think what you're doing is you're getting so stressed, so anxious, you're literally tensing up the bladder, which makes it less flexible and actually squeezes the bladder and causes you to urinate. Number 11, aches and pains. If you are tensing a muscle, and I mean low-level tension, but you're doing it for hours and hours and hours, you are stressing and burning out that muscle. It's like you've been working out all day, and you're going to have some aches, you're going to have some pains. Number 12, you're getting hotter and you're perspiring. Why? Because of the fight or flight, you're ramping up your system. It's like you park your car and then you're pushing on the gas pedal and that engine is just heating up and heating up and heating up because the energy and the heat has no place to go. You're the same way. That's why people get nervous and they start having this flop sweat. They are physically getting hotter. If you put a temperature strip on their forehead or thermometer in their mouth, you would see the temperature rising. They're overheating the engine. Number 13, blurred vision. When you pump a bunch of adrenaline, one of the unique things that happens is your eyes start to dilate more. And supposedly, that's so you can see more clearly. But they overdilate, and it actually makes it blurrier. Works against you. Chest pain or tightness. This is where somebody with anxiety might think they're having a heart attack. What's actually happening is when you get anxious, you tighten your muscles. Well, one of the biggest and most powerful muscles in your body is your heart, so you're tightening it. Well, it needs to be loose and relaxed to pump. Second thing is blood vessel constriction. When you hyperventilate, your blood becomes alkaline. That causes the blood vessels to constrict, and it really hurts your heart, and you start to feel those palpitations, that tightness in your chest. Number 15, anxiety can cause skip heartbeats. The technical term is arrhythmia or dysrhythmia. You're supposed to beat in a nice pattern, but every once in a while, and I had this on my heart scans, it would beat along, look very nice, and then it would go flatline, wasn't even beating. And then all of a sudden it would go bang to make up for it. It would do a couple big heartbeats to make up for the ones it missed. Then it would go back to the normal sinus rhythm. Then it would flatline and bang. And that's exactly what it is. It's your heart stopping and starting. The timing is off. Nobody knows exactly why this is, but remember, anxiety goes after nerve bundles. Your heart is a big pile of muscle and a big pile of nerves. 16, bowel changes. Yay, bowel changes. What does that mean? Well, one of two things, constipation or diarrhea. It's sometimes known as IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. The good news with irritable bowel syndrome is about 75% of the time, it's one of those things that was an anxiety or a somatic disorder. You treat that and the irritable bowel syndrome goes away. But it has to do with how quickly your body's processing food because you become anxious, or we talked about that acidity rising in the stomach. It can slow down or speed up and just totally mess with different enzymes that are part of the digestive process. There's blood flow to different areas in there. There's a dozen different ways that your anxiety can mess up your bowels. Number 17, a feeling of your skin crawling or burning. That could be variations in blood flow to your skin caused by your anxiety. It can be cortisol pumping through your system and causing irritation, makes you sensitive to different allergens and even your own sweat. And it can be nerves firing on the top of your skin, giving you that sensation like there's something either irritating it or crawling on your skin. Number 18, derealization or depersonalization. You are completely not feeling like you. It's sort of like a drifty out-of-body experience where you're losing contact with yourself. Now, that can be caused by what we talked about earlier, where how do you get away from you and your brain is shutting down. It can be caused by hyperventilation, which makes you dizzy, which gives you a floaty, derealized feeling in your body. But man, if you're getting that far out, yeah, you need some extra help with this. Get some professional help for your anxiety. It's getting bad. Number 19, breathing difficulties. Very common in anxiety. Why? When you get nervous, you do one of two things. If you get really tense, you tend to stop breathing. It's like I reached out and I'm choking you out. Let me know how long that takes to cause you to panic. If I'm choking you out and you can't breathe, pretty quickly, you're going to have a panic attack, right? Now, if you're hyperventilating, that makes you dizzy and woozy like you're having a panic attack. And here's where it gets really weird. You start worrying about your worrying. You worry, so your breathing's off, either too much or too little. Then you worry that you're breathing too much or too little. You start paying more attention to your breathing, which causes your body to get nervous in that area, causing you to breathe more or breathe less. And this problem just spirals out of control. Number 20, last one, headaches. Headaches are, I believe I saw in the research literature, about 80 to 90% of all headaches are what? Tension headaches. Your scalp is tensing. And the area at the top of your brainstem in the back of your neck is tensing. And that causes pain because it's literally choking off your spinal cord going down the back of your neck. It's usually one of those two things, but it can also be excessive blood flow to the brain or paradoxically a lack of blood flow to the brain. Hey, this is a very complicated subject. So if you have any additional questions, please put them in the comments below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. And also go ahead and like and subscribe and then look through our playlist. You're going to find lots and lots of different trainings on how to beat anxiety and how to beat depression. I recommend, whether you have anxiety or whether you have depression, you look at both for two reasons. One, something that's called comorbidity or co-occurrence is a better word. It means that 75% of the time, if you have anxiety, you also have depression. And if you have depression, 75% of the time, you also have anxiety. So it'll treat both. Now, the good news is almost every technique that you'll ever learn to beat anxiety also works for depression. And every one that you learn for depression also works for anxiety. So even if you have just anxiety and you say, well, I should be watching anxiety videos. And yes, you should. But you may also want to look at some depression ones and vice versa. That's your tip for the day. My name is Professor Paul, and I'll see you in my next training.